Welcome to Friendly Argument with J. Andrew Bernard and Jeremy Jones.
Let's do this.
New stuff,
All the tangents.
some politics, booze,
Some more politics.
stuff about Kansas, and lots of cheer scenes.
Friendly Argument is a podcast showcasing conversations that seek common ground across the aisle of American politics, as well as a few laughs. We hope you guys enjoy, and thanks for watching.
Are we recording already?
Yeah, we're recording.
Oh, we are recording. So,
Hi.
welcome to Friendly Argument with J. Andrew Bernard and Jeremy Jones.
Hi, everybody.
We were friends before. We'll probably be friends during.
Friends
After.
Happy Monday. We got a bunch of news today.
Mm-hmm.
The first, I think the biggest news would be that Trump is allowing the transition to start going forward. Is that the headline or?
I don't. Yeah, I'm trying to decide if I think it's the biggest news.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I'm not quibbling over. I mean, it's a thing that's happening. I'm not quibbling over that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely one of the bigger.
So that's big news. What else is big news?
Sidney Powell has been disassociated from the Trump legal case, but is still moving forward with her stuff.
Yeah, that's curious news.
That is curious news. I'm trying to think, there were some other big things that happened.
The weekend was
today.
weird, like having the Michigan delegates to the White House. That was
Yes, that happened. I thought that happened
this
last
weekend.
I thought that was the weekend before last.
I think it was this weekend because Monday they reported
Yeah.
or they certified.
They certified.
Michigan certified today.
Yeah, the Trump legal team was excited that they got their case thrown out because it gets it closer to the Supreme Court, which is where they want the case to be.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, listening to some legal analysis, they screwed up something, so now they have to go back to a district court. So it's like
2 steps forward, 1 step
yeah,
back, a little
something
bit.
like that, or maybe even like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. So I'm not sure where that's going. It's one of those weird things where it's just like the whole thing is just like I don't know where this is going to land. Like it doesn't look like it's going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I guess we'll talk about that when we talk about Sidney Powell.
Sure.
I think other big news is BuzzFeed is buying Huffington Post, which I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's
So it's a tech outlet is buying a semi-tech outlet, but what of the transition between like media, like mainstream media into new media.
got it.
Yeah.
You're way
Stepping
more up on
stone.
that stuff than I am. Way more.
Let's see what. Oh, there's other big. I feel like there's other big stuff. I think I saw John Kerry is going to get appointed to be the climate czar under the Biden administration.
Wow.
We'll see what happens with that.
All of the John Kerrys, the George H.W. Bushes was really my coming of age into, I was getting my political science degree at the time, and so many feelings going both ways.
That's the GSA.
So reactions to the announcement.
The LA California COVID lockdown part 2 / the LA County supervisor reaction to it.
Yeah.
I think is worth talking about.
Sure. So
Biden nominations. Do we care? I don't think we care.
I think the reactions to the transition, reactions to the lawsuits, reactions to the Sidney Powell. I mean, right there, I think we got enough to chew on to make a mess with for us.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I was happy to see the Trump administration starting the transition process for Biden. I think the peaceful transition of power, particularly speedily, that we've had most of our history, has been a very strong plus for us and as a nation. And I think there's even some evidence that 2000 transition, being as long as it was and delayed as it was, hurt us. There's
an argument to be made on that, and I find it to be semi-anemic, but
it's a little on the sensational side, I would say, but correlation, we don't know if there's causation, but you know, for that and other, but mostly for the other reasons, I think, you know, it seems good that we're starting the transition. Well, that's my reaction. I'm
I don't think it's not a bad thing in my opinion, just because like even if for some reason like there's an explosive turn of events and like Sidney Powell turns out to be like the smartest person ever. It might take that. Like she hires Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Well, again, I think we'll get there. But I had the thought in the shower this morning where it's like, she's either a crazy person or we're going to be making movies about her in 10 years. One of like she's either Erin Brockovich or she is what a lot of media outlets made Sarah Palin out to be.
Oh wow, there's a name I haven't heard in a minute. So I'm trying to what could make that? I mean, there's just like there's I've seen very little.
The extent, like I mean, and like most of the pundits I respect are like, you're making some pretty, like the general thought is you're making some really freaking big claims here. Like if true, this is the biggest scandal. I think as Ben Shapiro said today, this would be the biggest scandal in the history of democracy. So it's like you have to have the amount of proof to say, like, and it has to be very rock solid proof where this is a thing. So it's like one of those like, you're talking a big game here, but no one else has seen it. So like I said, it's either we're making movies about this, it's like,
or Paper Tiger,
or you're making a lot of noise. Can we just move on with life?
I mean, that sounds like Trump to me. Just the making a lot of noise, making big claims. Like he's not a wallflower. He's not a shrinking violet.
I mean,
that sounds like a style. That sounds like
I mean, granted, but I mean, like, I think as somebody from the White House even said today, it was like, this sounds even too crazy for the president, and like that's like if you're saying that coming from like your own people, that says something. So
it says it's big and loud.
Big and loud, and we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still, it was 28 days or 38 days for the 2000 election. Like so I think we're only in day, 20? It's the 23rd, so like day 19, day 20.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, it's just like, let's have done.
Yeah. I mean, great news. You know, we got the same cat that won the Electoral College won the popular vote, which is nice. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people will hold on to one or the other of those, and
depends on which one you won.
Well, exactly, and so having those both on the same side is an advantage, I think. But that's, I mean, it sounds like for the most part we're on the in the same thought on that. I mean, it would be huge if she did have anything. I have heard no.
No one's heard anything.
There's been
anything. Yeah, that's kind of the problem. Like I think there's serious conservatives who are like, yeah, I would like for this to be a thing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and most conservatives are like, you know, basically will say if Biden happens to be the thing or happens to be elected in the Electoral College, there's no legal things, but it's still just like doesn't look super good.
Yeah.
For that, I'm not going to say like we shouldn't play this out because if it was the roles were reversed, Biden should be playing it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I've become less and less of a proponent of like we should know on election night, but if there's any questions, the questions should be answered through the court of law, not the court of public opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there should be some evidence, and it should be presented, and it should be presented with post haste.
Yes. Quickly.
And so, that hasn't happened.
No.
And
like I can kind of like again coming back to the city council, like I can justify in my head like the movie aspect of it was like, hey, you got to make sure no one knows the stuff until you're ready to drop it. But at the same time, I'm like, girl, give us like something.
Have you ever heard the has a lot of swearing, but I'll change it to crap. The before the crap goes down joke. Have you heard? Like,
I don't know.
Guy runs up to a bar and like looking behind him and then runs up. He's like, "Give me a shot, tequila, fast." And they're like, "Well, what's going on?" Like, just give me a shot of tequila fast before the shit goes down or before the crap goes down. And
I think you can say shit on this podcast.
Oh, I know. I'm trying to be better. And so they just like, oh, okay, well here's a shot, and he slams it, runs back into the crowd, and then runs back. Give me a shot of tequila before the crap goes down, and then he just keeps going back, and then like finally after a few times the bartender's like, hey, you just had like 4 shots of tequila, you haven't paid $1. Like, what gets real mad at him, and it's like. That's the crap going down. Like you're just going back and punching it until you punch one too many times. But it's not. There was no.
There's no there
thing going down. Yeah. That joke has popped in my mind more than once during the course of this process. Unless there is a bombshell.
Like I said, it's not like I don't disagree with that assessment of it. Like
they haven't given us any more to think that could be less of the case.
Yeah. And so I guess it's still just one of those like, I guess we'll just keep. I was hoping this would be done last week, and now it's like the longer this goes, the more I'm just like I'm tired of this.
What about the folks that like, because you do mention like serious conservatives. I like the term thoughtful conservative. Like, what do you think about the folks that are like? I will never accept that Trump didn't win. Like,
well, I don't. I guess this is a thing that they talk about in having possible conversations.
Yeah.
And one of the I don't think it's the first chapter. I think it's the second chapter thing that they talk about. You have to acknowledge extremists because there were people who never. I would argue there were a lot of people who never accepted Trump as a legitimate president.
Yeah,
like
the electoral versus popular vote thing.
Well, but and just like how much controversy did Trump have for his entire presidency that was a non-controversy just because Orange Man bad. Like there's I'm not going to pretend like there aren't going to be people particularly in like deep red areas that are just
extremists.
They're just They are extreme in this belief.
They're extreme in that.
I think extremist has a little too much baggage surrounding it.
Sorry, I used the word from the you'd mentioned from the book. I wasn't trying to.
Yeah, no, that's partially my fault. But so I think there will always be that people, but there's other people. I think there's more and more of the what we'll call, as you call them, thoughtful conservatives are like, okay, well, this is where we are now. What's our actual fight ahead? And I think more and more of the Conservative Party is kind of coming around to where I was sitting for a while, which is, hey, we've lost a lot of these other places because we've been focusing on politics too much, and so now there's going to be more of a move towards. We'll call it a waking up of a lot of sleepy conservatives who are like, oh, we should probably be caring about the culture, and we should probably be caring about the way things like academia.
Okay, and just because you mentioned the sort of non-controversies, you termed the Trump things, and I definitely think the left zeitgeist was they did see some controversies where some conservatives saw non-controversies, and what I think it came down to is what you have said. You don't pay attention to what he says. Like if he says something sexist or something, a little racially insensitive. Does it? Can you do that? Can you just pick and choose? Because what I think, like the politics makes strange bedfellows kind of thing. Like are you tolerant of those things, or is there a worry that like because even if you don't pay attention to it, the sexist things and stuff and racist things and stuff, that you're like that there's a little tolerance of those.
How do you feel about the term bitter clingers?
Bitter clingers? I've never seen the band live, but I've heard of their first couple albums.
Okay.
And no.
So it was a phrase that Barack Obama used for conservatives because they were bitterly clinging to their guns and their God. So now that is an insensitive comment, right?
Sure.
Now, would you say that by supporting Barack Obama, you are tolerant of that attitude?
I could absolutely see that connection being made. I think we would both agree that there's no equivalence between the race in the driver's seat versus, a historically racially insensitive people and a historically, gender insensitive people. Like those are on two different planes.
I don't necessarily think I agree because I don't know if I agree with the premise of your argument.
Okay.
Because again, it's like, and I think this is a difference that we tend to have when we have these discussions is, I think there's a lot of what I believe is critical theory that goes throughout a lot of things I hear from you. Critical theory. So it's like critical race theory, critical gender theory. Like it's a school of thought.
Sure.
And that generally divides things into group power dynamics. So I don't tend to buy into that. So where I find a problem with your statement of there's a difference between a group in the driver's seat and a group and another power dynamic.
Okay.
Is that I don't necessarily see it as a monolith. There's not a monolith of like, oh, it's all white people doing stuff for white people things. Right. So I can't buy into the premise of I can't agree that we don't see those. We'd agree that those are equal because I don't buy into the premise that you're starting from.
So this is a super good spot because we can go back to my initial question about the racially insensitive things, gender insensitive comments of the president, and sort of like, well, he got us some judges, he got us some things that we agree with that we think are important.
Maybe this would be helpful. Let's just maybe walk through 3 examples of places where you think Trump has said something racially insensitive or genderly insensitive.
What are the non-traversies that in your
so there was one the non-traversy is that Trump supports white supremacy. Every single time he's been quoted as supporting it, if you listen to the full clip, he's usually said right before, I don't support white supremacists. Every statement he's come out, his press secretaries have said, this is what he meant. He did not mean what you're saying he meant. The biggest example is during the South Carolina, Charlottesville, the big explosion there. So there's a place where he said there was good people on both sides. If you watch the full clip, right before that he says, I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis, I'm not talking about the people with the tiki torches, I'm paraphrasing,
yeah.
Thank you. I'm paraphrasing here. He said, I'm not talking about those people, and then he basically said, I'm talking about the people who were at the actual rally. Like the people who were there for the free speech stuff, and the people who were there to protest the free speech stuff.
Okay.
But he specifically said, separated it from that. And I happen to know, there was a lot of people who dropped out. Well, that's apropos of nothing.
Okay. So he is, again, talking as the zeitgeist for each of our sides. He's definitely considered racially insensitive and gender insensitive.
On your side, yes.
On my side, I'm speaking from my side. And you have mentioned that don't think about what he says, and that might be a direct quote, but that you don't worry about so much what he says because he's doing the things, the policy things that you want to see.
Maybe this is a place where we need to have some clarification.
Yeah.
So when I say that, I'm talking about his braggadociousness, his tendency to speak in hyperbole, and his being just generally a puffer.
A
puffer. Yeah.
Yeah, in real estate, they call it puffery. Yeah. This is the best. This is the best house.
Yeah. So it's that, and his tendency to unthinkingly punch back when somebody says something.
Right, and you had said that and I'm paraphrasing the zeitgeist,
Mm-hmm.
but like we were tired of being called racist, and here's a guy who just goes out there and
he doesn't care about being called racist.
And he doesn't care about being called racist.
Yes. So, but to finish my point.
Yeah.
So there is that stuff is what I mean when I say we don't care what he says, we care what he does. And then there's another stream which I guess in my mind was separate, but may be mixed in on your side.
Yeah.
Is that like there's things that he'll say that generally it's like, oh, he's racist, sexist, bigoted, whatever. But if you go back and look at the full thing of what he said or look in the context of what he's saying, it's not that. It's a clip taken out of context. And so it's happened enough times that people on my side, already having experienced that, either personally or seeing it done to other people, just are like, this is not, don't even talk to me about this.
Interesting.
So it's like, so, and then I want you to make your point.
Yeah.
But, so it's like when I say like we've just had decades of this, like by the time we get to Trump, it's like there's already so much, like the capital's been spent and like the left is so in the red on this sort of stuff, and it's just like double birds, fuck off, we don't care. Sorry, Mom and Dad.
So.
And Alicia.
Sorry, Alicia.
Yeah. My sister-in-law sometimes listens to this. My niece and nephew are sometimes in the room, apparently. So I have a sneaking suspicion that Uncle Andrew will be in a lot of trouble at some point.
We don't like that.
Yeah.
But so this is good. Like for me to understand, because it is very much it's all over the place. And and I've definitely heard things he said taken out of context. And I most politicians that happens. He seems to say more on the line, or maybe step over the line more frequently. It was very good for me to hear that at least to your ear, and I'll say the thoughtful conservative ear, that there is two lanes there, where it's I got the best words, you know what I mean? Like you know the hyperbole, the puffery, the 4D chess. That you differentiate between the puffery and then I'll call it the more problematic maybe language that he'll use sometimes. Certainly problematic on ours, my side of the folks. It does. I think I just wish more conservatives were like you, like willing to test your thoughts, being thoughtful, because that would, I think it would help illustrate your thinking more, which I feel like this helped do that.
Yeah. I want you to finish. It's just like sometimes you'll say things and I'm like, oh, this is a really good.
No.
Point. I think there's a problem within conservatism that we have always been very, very bad about making the positive argument.
Interesting.
So an example would be, in the abortion, like the one time we've done it well is in the abortion argument, instead of being like, no, we're anti-abortion, we're pro-life. So now you have two positive arguments. You are pro-choice and you are pro-life. And so now it's easier to make that. And so and a counter example would be with, I'm trying to think of like the non-hyperbolic way of determining this.
With
LGBTQ plus issues.
Exclamation point.
2-3987.
Infinity.
We could probably do an entire episode on PC culture, which would be a lot of me ranting. Anywho, so on that one, conservatism didn't do a very good job of making positive arguments, so much as we made negative arguments, right? And so negative arguments
we're against
this, or like this is why this won't work. Whereas we should have been making more of the, okay, hey, this is a thing, but because we have these other institutions that are like foundation for civil, like foundations for civilization, that we need to protect. We need to uplift these, but we can still do this other thing over here. It won't be quite the same thing as this, but it's still something that gets you guys the same thing you're wanting.
I think I understand. Could you give like, so I'm guessing you're talking like the family structure
the family,
versus like
the male female living together raising children is generally considered to be foundational to society.
Got it.
Like you need that structure in order for civilization to exist.
Right. And the male female being more foundational your like to the conservative interpretation.
I would argue that it's not a conservative interpretation so much as like there's a lot of psychological research on it that you can create healthy adults being raised by same-sex partners, but generally speaking, there is the human psyche needs to be raised by two parents of opposite genders. Like there's things that, generally speaking, broad brushstrokes, that females give to child rearing, and there's again broad brushstrokes, things that males give to child rearing that are important for like a generally healthy person to be done. And actually, if we want to talk about that, I'm now tangenting. You actually need to get a fully formed, like the best way to get a fully functioning human, at least a fully functioning adult male, generally you need to have like 12 fathers around. So not your father, but you also need to have multiple examples of other fathers around in your life.
So you're quoting your favorite author, It Takes a Village.
I mean, there is usually every statement there is some truth to.
Yeah.
And so, yes, but it is a significantly less contribution than it is of having parents raising,
the two initial nuclear.
But backing up, because you were making a point and I tangented us.
No. I'm always trying to understand more, and I get questions from people. I wish it was like, please comment on below.
He'll read them.
I'll absolutely read them.
And he'll tell me what I should know.
And I always fill in Andrew on the.
I refuse to read comments.
Stuff. Yeah, and that works out. But the people contact me directly with questions like, oh, what about this and what about that, and so it gets me thinking, and so that will tangent on top of tangents on top of Susan Powell. Is that who we were talking about?
I think we were actually on the transition.
The transition,
which I think the TLDR is like, I'm like, it's not the worst thing in the world, and if I can say you're like super great, this is good, positive step.
I think it's a clear step in a positive direction.
Maybe I should say it this way. I don't think it hurts anything.
Yeah.
Like if this all were to like because 2020 reversal, because it's the year we're in, like all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, our democracy is in jeopardy, Trump's going to still be president. If we did this, that's not going to hurt that.
Yeah.
But if that's not going to happen, which is the 95 to 99% chance of happening, that's probably not the worst thing.
Check. I'm going to call that a W. Yeah. I'm going to call that a W, a friendly argument W. I think we're going to take a break real quick.
Oh yeah, we probably ought to.
And we'll be back with more news reactions.
Yeah. So
we're back.
So Sidney Powell. Oh, so we can probably
she's an attorney.
We can just probably talk about the whole Trump legal thing.
Yeah, let's talk about Trump
Sidney
legal.
Powell, from my understanding, is actually a very highly respected lawyer.
Oh, okay.
So
full disclosure, I don't know Sidney.
From my understanding, she is supposed to be like one of these top tier lawyers. So, which is why this whole like release the Kraken thing is so weird, because everyone was like, you're not a crazy person.
Yeah.
She's apparently like both sides of the aisle thought of as a very good lawyer.
Oh.
Like Robert Mueller, like 90s to 20s Robert Mueller.
Oh,
or sorry,
okay.
1990s to aughts Robert Mueller. Like everyone was like, he's a straight arrow.
Yeah.
So we're like, it's like Trump's legal team. There's Giuliani, and everyone's like all the conservatives are kind of quietly like, we don't know how we feel about it.
Well, yeah, like, point. Are you guys like looking at him as like a liability yet? I mean he does not look great.
Here's the thing.
Like if I was on your side, I would
he'll dig up evidence which is useful somehow, but then he gets on TV and he starts talking, and you're like, dude,
how did you ever run for president?
Up.
Like, how did you?
Well, okay. Here's the thing. Here's my thought.
I want to hear all
our state of the state of our politicians. So right now, and I think this happens every 15 to 20 years, all of the people who were like the young bucks and were like becoming something have now gotten old, and they're not what they were when they were good. Right? Like, I don't think Biden today was not Biden 10 years ago. Giuliani, like Mayor of New York Giuliani, that's not the Giuliani we have right now.
Yeah, I mean,
Nancy Pelosi 10 years ago.
America's mayor.
Yeah.
Giuliani was known as America's mayor.
Yeah. I think he was a lot sharper then. He wasn't making like as much of this crazy.
So you think it's faculty?
I think we're at that point where we have a lot of people who are in our power things, and I could probably dovetail this into this is why we need to have term limits. But it's like I think a lot of our power people aren't there as sharp as they used to be.
They're aging out.
And they're aging out, but they're not. Yeah. And so it's just like even like you look at Robert Mueller, like apparently there's a lot of reports and it's like, yeah, he wasn't as sharp like during the whole Mueller report as he was like 5-10 years ago. And so it's like,
oh, interesting.
Where it's just one of those like I think particularly the last like 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, we've just had like a crop of people who it's like they're not as young as they used to be.
Oh wow.
And there's so. And I think Giuliani falls into that.
Yeah,
so it's one of those like you don't know. Like I think most conservatives aren't sure what to do with him at this point. Like I said,
it just seems like a liability factor.
I mean, I wouldn't want him to talk, and like the legal.
Maybe he's behind your scene. He's the behind the scenes guy for you.
Yeah, like that seems great because like he was.
Some people are good at that.
Yeah.
Some people, it's a great place to be.
Yeah, and he should. Yeah, but he apparently he was actually in court for the first time in like 30 years, and he was like talking about like the big picture stuff, and the judge is like, "What's that have to do with this case?" He's like, "Oh, nothing." And it's like, dude, like, wow. What are you doing? So you got Giuliani, and you have Sidney Powell, who everyone's like, "Oh, this is a big thing," but now she's talking this huge game that it's like,
it's a lot of hyperbole. I don't know.
Like, are you like? Did you just bite off more than you can chew and you can't let go of the tiger?
She's doubling down on
like doubling down. Yeah. Like at this point, she's octubling down. Like there's either a massive.
And I mean, I guess if you hit on that, right?
Yeah.
Like if you
hit on it, you're great.
Double down on 11, and
so and then we have
I haven't seen
Jenna something. Which everything like I've heard her. She gets interviewed pretty regularly on like the Daily Wire, and most of the time I've heard her speak. It's like, oh, okay, like you're making pretty good, like cogent arguments that I think are well thought out.
Okay.
And I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's just they got in a position where they're like, oh, we got to pull a miracle out of our hats, or they think there's a there there. Because I know, like, I have.
Do you think? Yeah, go sorry, friend.
I mean, I have Republican friends who are like fairly well placed. That they're like, oh yeah, Trump's gonna pull it out, and I'm like, I don't know if that's just like, is that the Kool-Aid talking, or is that like, do you honestly know something that I don't know?
Yeah. I mean,
so, go ahead.
So from my perspective, like he's everything about Trump seems to be come from a very self-interested place, and we've both worked in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. We have seen those people that come from a very self-interested place will ask for the moon, and sliced,
X, Y, Z,
thinly sliced on a sandwich, and it's like there's just no way you can do that. And then, but you're in the position where you're asking to deliver the moon sandwich, and bro, I mean, there's just no way. But you can't say no.
Yeah.
But I just where we're at.
I mean, if it was just Giuliani, that's what I would think. But it's like the other Jenna Ellis, that's her name.
Jenna Ellis.
So it's the other two. I'm just like that's the weird curveball here. where it's like, what's going on? Like, I just don't know. And I mean, part of me is like, well, just be patient and wait, but like, it sucks to be patient and wait. And I'm just like, I would just like it to be over.
Transition fatigue, COVID fatigue, transition fatigue.
2020 has just been a year, man.
Dude,
my lovely wife Laura has actually blamed me for. Yeah, she is the best, and I love her very dearly. But I can't remember if it was yesterday. I think it was yesterday. We were sitting on the couch, and she's like, I'm hyperbolizing,
of course. That's all we do here.
Yeah, that's true. She turns to me and is like, you know what? I think 2020 is your fault. And I'm like, okay, let's play this out. And I was like, why is 2020 your fault? And she's like, because we were supposed, like, because this last New Year's was our first New Year's as a couple, right?
Oh, right.
Because we had a very quick dating engagement. Like, we took care of it. So anyway,
Navy SEALs of love.
Yeah. So I came back from Kansas because she couldn't go with me because she had to work at the
family business.
The family business, and so I came back from Kansas because I always go back to Kansas for Christmas, and I did my yearly thing if I just got massively sick. And normally it's not a big deal for New Year's because I'll get home, get massively sick, get over it. But for whatever reason, it didn't happen until New Year's. So we're supposed to be, we didn't know of any good parties, so we're just like, all right, we're gonna watch Post Malone and we're gonna kiss at midnight and then we can go to bed. Because I really wanted to see Post Malone. I like Post Malone.
That's amazing. I didn't know you liked Post Malone.
Post Malone. I mean, I don't buy any of his albums because I don't buy albums, but I like everything I've heard of his. I'm just like, you're a stinky little guy, or a little man, and I love everything. You have like the weirdest big heart and face tattoos.
Yeah.
This is a garbage fire I want to watch.
Oh, that's amazing. You should, if you don't have a Halloween costume next year, you could do a Post Malone.
Laura and I have a plan for one. It's like the most deep cut thing we can think of, and I won't spoil it.
Don't.
But yes, we have another party. I might have to do Post Malone.
I want to be there for that.
Tangent.
Yeah, I want to be there.
A guy I play D&D with is like, he is. I love him very dearly, but he's like, in your 30s, you start to realize like, oh, early 20-year-old people, they're not actually kids, but you start thinking of them as kids. Like they are fully developed human adults who can make their own decisions.
Taxpayers.
Yeah, and it's like I expect more of them than they generally expect of themselves. But anyway, he just got out of college recently, and I can't. Yeah, to the point where he was eating ramen because his first paycheck hadn't come, and he was so excited because my friends who host D&D, Alexandra, the wife of the husband-wife couple, is a very good chef, and so he was just raving, and she's like, I mean, it's good, but it's not that good. He's like, dude, I've been eating ramen. That's fun. Anyway, so he is a dude bro.
A dude bro.
He's a dude bro. And so he went out with his other dude bro friends, and apparently he had pre-gamed.
Was this Chase?
No, this is not Chase. Chase is not a dude bro.
I don't know. I hear stories about Chase.
You hear stories about Chase. He is not a dude bro. I'm
going to perpetuate that.
That's fair. Anyway, so he pre-games, goes on a date where he drinks more. Then his dude bro friends are like, dude, we're going out to this club. He's like, great. So he keeps drinking. And so it's 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and he's already just shit-faced to the point where he's like, I gotta get rid of this. So he goes out and he's puking in one of those there's just a line of trash cans. He just has his head full in there, and he's puking, and he senses somebody else who's come up and start puking in the other trash can. So they both come up, and he turns over, and it's Post Malone, and he's like, dude, are you Post Malone? And Post Malone just kind of looks at him and is like, yeah, and then they both go back to puking. And I was like, that is the most Post Malone story. Also, it's a very LA story.
Because I've had equivalent LA stories, it's all about
stuff just happens, man.
Stuff just happens. Yeah, I would 1,000,000% call that bullshit. Chicago Jeremy, 1,000,000% call that bullshit. But
yeah, and no one in the D&D group who are all either from LA or lived here long enough, oh yeah, I don't see any reason that can't. Why are we talking about Post Malone?
Oh, 2020 is your fault.
2020 is my fault. So I was supposed to stay up and watch Post Malone because I was massively sick. I fell asleep. And so Laura was like, I think we had been talking about our plans. And she's like, all right, well, this year you have to stay up and kiss me at midnight.
You didn't even make it to midnight?
I fell asleep at like 9:30.
Oh.
And I was out. Like, I was not feeling great, and I tried very hard. But,
wow.
But yeah, so anyway, 2020 is my fault because I didn't kiss Laura at midnight.
Wow.
So if 2021 is not going to be a garbage fire, then I need to, for the sake of everyone, I need to
be on that.
Stay awake. And I mean, COVID was hitting China right then, so yeah, I did not protect us.
Maybe you're patient zero. Maybe that's why you were
I did not warn America with my love.
Oh, that's hysterical. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
So Sydney Powell, I guess long story short is
she's doubling down.
She's doubling down. She's gonna keep. Down. She's still going. So it's like, like I said, she's we're gonna either be making movies about her in 10 years, or she's gonna flame out in a hot mess.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. So anyway, COVID's locked down again.
Yeah, California is doing the lockdown again. I'm doing a steaks giving at my home with nobody coming, and I'm actually pretty excited about it.
So we're having Thanksgiving in Orange County, so there's like a little bit of like the double birds are being thrown, and and we'll have a fairly normal Thanksgiving.
You say the double birds are being thrown, and I'm like, there's a little more leeway, a little more margin. Like I was actually doing this with my hands, and you're just like,
nope,
bada bada bow.
Well, I actually want a turducken, so technically it'll be 3 birds being thrown, but yeah, well done. We'll see if my father-in-law is gonna appease me or not. Yeah,
I'm a little COVID. What do they call it?
Weary, scared.
Not scared, but the COVID. You're tired of all the restrictions. I
can say COVID weary.
COVID weary. I'm COVID weary, but there's a term for it. Either way, I wish we didn't have to lock down again, but the numbers are significant nationally, and the deaths are going up as well. So
the deaths are going to go up anytime there's a wave going through.
Yeah, it's a lagging indicator, and so as we go up in case number,
I'm still of the opinion that it's going to burn through areas, like because the original idea was we're going to do like
this looks great, guys. When you get a chance to see
it's
going to look really good.
Do I have anything important on there? Probably not. So there you go. So the original, I probably should actually finish drawing it. So the original idea was that we were going to slow the curve, right? I don't know if you guys can see that or not. And we don't have, Sven is not doing the job he initially did, which is completely fine because we can't afford for Sven to do the job he initially did. And by he, I mean definitely me, she. All of our editing is done by she's.
One he for a while.
Oh, there was one he, yep. So anyway, the idea was that we were trying to invent this spike, and then we were just trying to keep under the line of our ICE equipment, or wait, no.
ICU,
yeah, ICU equipment.
We all do.
And so it's one of those somewhere along the way, we lost this message, because we owe it, at the beginning, we always knew it was going to be rough. And it was just how rough are we going to make it really rough at the beginning, or we're going to just kind of make it sort of rough for a while until it blows through. And so now we've done the thing where we're not having these huge spikes, except for New York. But we're freaking out because we're not doing the thing we were trying to do originally.
Yeah. So we've had 3 peaks, and we're at the tippity top of the highest peak thus far in America.
Yeah.
National cases. So. Thank you for I think the left zeitgeist take on all that requires no drawing. Better safe than sorry. That was our big crazy thought. And
which is fine if you're coming at it from just a medical point of view, but there's other parts of life that are there's the economic, there's the human well-being factor.
I would say it's like a hierarchy, and it's those physiological ones. Right at the base, and so those are important, and those are foundational, and so you gotta have healthy people to have a healthy.
Yeah, but if you're focusing, if you're looking at it that way, if you're focusing on that, then you lose your ability. It's very easy to lose your ability to do all the other stuff because this will always get shut down, and somebody else can tell. If that's the priority, people then will have the authority to say, hey, no, this is what we have to do, and then we lose our freedom and ability to do these other things. And again, I still feel like even looking at it as a hierarchy, it's still looking at it from just one direction.
That very well may be true. If I'm a consequentialist at the end of the day, our results have been much poorer than the leading nation in the world should, in my view, should have been. There are countries that have done better, and it was pretty firm and across the board. New Zealand, South Korea, Japan. Those have had better results than we've had.
And homogeneous population.
Those have had better results, and I want to have the best results because America's the best.
I guess I'm saying like I might posit. I'm going to posit that maybe that's not complete apples to apples comparison. Like if you're looking at full numbers.
I guess it only works if you're talking about people.
Well, no, I am talking about people. Like you can't do that. I know you are, but I mean, it's not an argument.
No, I think we've underperformed by any measure, and that is absolutely my opinion. And so we needed to do better sooner, and because we didn't do better sooner, we are now COVID fatigue was the word.
That is a phrase.
Man, it took me a minute to get there. But yeah, so we are locking down again in California, which
and most of the United States, I think, except for Florida and Texas.
Well, yeah. You wanted the California because you wanted to get to the LA County supervisor. Yeah. I was trying to.
That's okay.
I'm in there.
I'm incorrigible. All right, so
yeah, you are.
You know what? Let's make sure I'm using it.
Probably right about 5 too.
Okay, I don't care. I'm still gonna look this up. A person in detention is not able to be corrected, improved, or reformed.
Oh wow. Is like his picture right there?
My picture. Because weirdly enough, they're both there.
They're both there. 2 examples.
Gavin Newsom, our petty king, has
Governor of
California, has decided that the entire state is going to go on. I'm not going to call it hyper lockdown.
Purple plaid lockdown.
Yeah.
Whatever the color.
Lockdown.
I don't like the California color scheme.
Purple is why is purple the worst? Purple should never be the worst. Purple, it clearly is the worst color because of the color of Kansas State, and it is a amalgamation of red and blue, which are clearly the best colors.
They're definitely primary.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Either way, it's not like purple doesn't. You go.
Purple is for Prince.
Mm-hmm.
Full stop.
Yeah. You go red, orange, yellow, green, like God intended.
Yeah. Come on.
Duh. Anyway, Gavin Newsom has locked us down, like not as hard as original COVID, but it's definitely like locked down. And I think we have a statewide curfew in place now.
Yeah.
Which I guess I have to give it to him.
We're good. We've been under.
We'll be fine. So anyway, the big way it affects our life is that maybe we should actually pause here and we'll just come back.
Yeah, we're going to use this as an opportunity to take a break, and then we're going to be back with the California response to the new COVID wave and the LA County Supervisor's response to that.
I like how we act like we have a commercial break. Like people are going to forget what we're talking about. I love the optimism.
It's exactly what it's good practice for when
we have advertisers.
All right, we'll be back. Then land this bird.
Land it. So,
hello.
We're on COVID restrictions in California.
Yes.
Curfew. Restaurants are back, and this is the big thing. Restaurants are back to doing just takeout.
Right.
Instead of I have been very impressed by the entrepreneurial spirit of Los Angeles restaurant owners.
And gym owners.
They have found ways to make patios.
Yeah.
Like in Culver City where I live, like on our main street, there's like a street that normally gets shut down like twice a week anyway for a farmer's market. Somebody somewhere petitioned Culver City, and that is now just perma shut down.
Oh, that's
and
great.
So, and because it's like a bunch of the restaurants are right there, and so all of the restaurants have been like, all right, well, my building is this wide to this wide. I get to go to the yellow line, and they've all got like temporary fences and more tables, and they just like, we now have a porch that's the street, and it's been really fun to go to these restaurants.
I think we are lucky to have that in California, where the
weather's possible.
Yeah.
Yes. Back home in Kansas, that would be awful. Yeah. Like that's not doable.
Not doable.
So anyway, we're on lockdown, and I was one of those like, we're going to do this, and I saw an article today that apparently, let's see if I can find his
DailyWire.com.
It's I don't know if they're the original.
Oh,
I don't know if they're you can find it on DailyWire.com. /news/la-county-supervisor-will-oppose-new restaurant-shutdown-order.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, exactly. Supervisor Catherine Barger. Oh, she's the Republican. That makes a lot more sense.
Whoa! You're sourcing a Republican article? Oh,
yeah. Surprise. I thought it was a Democrat, but now it's like makes a little more sense that she's like, no, this is stupid. So basically, from what I like,
the lone Republican.
The lone Republican.
Lone Republican. It just says lone Republican.
Of the LA County Supervisors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was
say LA County Supervisor. Catherine Barger. Okay. I believe we have a board of supervisors.
We do.
Let's say 5.
I think it's more, but yeah,
it might be more. I don't know. That would be more into local politics than I probably know.
Hopefully we'll get more into that.
Yeah. We probably ought to.
Yeah, I've been
for our wide.
I've been reaching out to some of our state legislatures.
Oh.
And hopefully to try to do the thing.
No, Errol Weber won't matter because he's anyway. Yes, we should do that. We'll talk about that after the show. So
Barger, what did she have to say?
For me, it's about a lack of consistency. Our own public health director has said that more than 50% of the positives being reported are a result of private social gatherings with someone who tested positive. She goes on to say that illegal house parties and large social gatherings are to blame for the sudden surge in cases, not restaurants, arguing that the government should be more focused on such events. So here's
It's a tough call.
So here's, I guess, my meta problem with the current lockdown, or at least with the with who gets to be essential workers or not, because Gavin Newsom today also decided that entertainment industry workers are considered essential workers, which great for me as an entertainment industry worker, but like as a thing, I'm like, I'm sorry, that's a bunch of malarkey. Like, we're not.
Agreed.
Now, that being said, I'm getting more and more to the point where it's like, I don't think the government has the right to determine who's essential and who's not. Like, I mean,
the people do.
Yes.
And that's the government.
No, the people are not.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. So if I disagree as a private person, how do I rectify that? Like, I would have to impede, like, I would have to...
majority, respect to the minority.
So I can impede, I guess I can try to get Newsom impeached.
Sure.
Either way.
Try.
I'm just saying, like, it's these executive orders are not, like, so if the legislature was coming up with these, then I would think I would buy it a little bit more because that is will of the people. Whereas it coming down from the executive branch, that's like, these aren't laws. These are civil mandates, if you will.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't think that it is right that one person or even one branch gets to say, hey, you're essential or not. Now, if we were going through something like actually super, super serious, like the bubonic plague, or if measles came back. Ebola.
You know you got.
Yeah, oh god, Ebola. Yeah. I am terrified of Ebola.
I love how terrified you are of Ebola.
It's not a joking disease. Anyway.
That's a high eyebrow issue for you, which I love.
Yeah, but so it's like, if that was the case, then it's like, okay, yeah, we should all be it, but essential workers would be, you better be a nurse or like in the medical field or emergency response.
Well, groceries, I would say groceries.
Okay,
yeah, that's
let's
which is like a super unsung. I hope you guys all
let's broaden it back up to essential infrastructure.
Sure.
So
sure.
Medical stuff, food, power, water, and sewage, or sewage and trash. Like if Ebola is broken out in America, it is that, and probably and the army to make sure that it's just that.
Sure.
But that's 5 things, right?
That's a close-handed.
It's a close-handed like that, and that's like the only thing that I was like, if we're going to issue emergency order, you can't make exceptions outside of that. And if we're making exceptions outside of this, then it's not
entertainment, restaurants, like all that. Yeah.
So it's I'm trying to think of what. There's another one that I thought was kind of bullshit. But I can't remember. Sorry, Alicia.
As far as
like things that are open, that's like, why are you open?
Well, I know there's a construction exemption. I know that you can move. Those are the ones that come off the top of my head that I was more aware of.
Yeah, I'm sure there's more if we like actually bothered to research it.
Yeah, but either way, for so this one, she's talking about the restaurants.
Talking about restaurants, and so I feel like that's legitimate, a legitimate thing. Like, I don't understand why we're closing down restaurants again. I haven't seen a lot of stuff that's like, oh yeah, and then all these cases are coming from restaurants, particularly because all the restaurants are like so paranoid about it because they know the moment that they are like, they have an outbreak, they're done.
Yeah, and my take on it is, it always comes back to the extreme ownership. To quote our buddy Jocko, what I needed to do better, because I definitely got more lax over time with my COVID compliance, and that I need to be stricter with myself and what I do, because then my gym would still be open, then the restaurants could open, and if we were all thinking that way, I think that is what moves us forward.
So okay, sorry.
But it's on me, and it will. My gym. I just found out today that my gym is turning in its keys to the location that I was at downtown, and which like really bums me out. It's not just like a gym or like a CrossFit kind of thing. It's a self-defense training, and it friggin' bummed me out, and so. I
like they just can't afford the space anymore. Or?
Well, the landlord won't even entertain reduction in rent, and they've been out of the space for 9 months.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I've been a landlord before.
Yeah.
I get that's a bummer, but also like
the moment COVID's done, he's like that place is probably at twice what he was getting before. So
Still, I mean, you had a really good group of folks, really good business, and you talk about like trying to do everything that you can. Like this group of folks, I'll plug them. No, I'm not getting any money for it. Krav Maga United, downtown location. They did absolutely everything they could to keep that place open and keep as many members involved. And looks like there's even going to still do a belt. Still do belts this year because people were so able to stay with it, which is super great. Anyway, that's that situation. Those sorts of things I take as on me. The restaurants, that's on me. Like I needed my lack of discipline. Screwed us up, and that's on me. And so,
because I mean, that is one way to look at it.
That is how I look at it. And I'm going to be more COVID compliant.
See, I guess for me, the bigger issue...
Which is why that's why I'm doing Thanksgiving.
So I think for me, the bigger issue is that I think at the end of the day, adults should be free to make their own cost-benefit analysis.
And I think they should be good teammates.
I mean, yeah, you should be good teammates. It's the tension between the individual and the community. Like, that's always there. But I'm going to be able to better understand how I can be a part of the community, how I can be a part of the community, or what I need to do, than some bureaucrat, even in City Hall, let alone Sacramento.
I have so many questions now after that statement, but there's no way we have time.
We have no time. Write it down. We'll talk about it next time.
Thank you for joining us again for Friendly Argument. And please leave comments, subscribe, click there's a bell.
I don't know.
You get alerts.
I hear that doesn't work, but
and things.
Who knows? We're not tech savvy.
Let me rephrase that. We're getting better.
We are getting better. Thank you, Laura and Terry.
Have a great night.
We were friends before.
Friends during.
Friends after. Cheers.
I think that wasn't bad.
Welcome to Friendly Argument with J. Andrew Bernard and Jeremy Jones.
Let's do this.
New stuff.
All the tangents.
Some politics.
Booze. Some more politics.
Stuff about Kansas. And lots of cheer scenes.
Friendly Argument is a podcast showcasing conversations that seek common ground across the aisle of American politics, as well as a few laughs. We hope you guys enjoy, and thanks for watching.